Well folks, welcome to another Friday fishing forecast, and again I'm out here in the bay. Today I'm trying to target some big snapper. I'm using small pinfish with a 3/8 ounce huggy jig and pitching it forward. The tide's still moving. It's starting to slow down now, so I think I'm gonna hit it almost at a perfect time. But the water is still pretty dirty. It's very tannin. But again, this is an outgoing tide, so it's going to be a little bit dirtier than what it would be with an incoming tide. This weekend looks absolutely beautiful. Last weekend, the Saturday, it was a lot choppier than what they said it was going to be, and it got choppier as the day progressed because of the storms. But we ended up, I haven't done a video on it, but we ended up, we caught, I think 9 keeper hogs, 2 keeper gags, some really nice mangrove snapper, all in less than 70 feet of water. And I gotta say that the gag bite in the morning was just phenomenal. It was nuts. And then we got broke off a couple too many times and it shut it down. But it was a new ledge that we were fishing, so that was kind of neat to go out and find a new ledge like that and get on some gags. But this weekend, the weather looks absolutely beautiful. Actually, there's very little rain chance. The winds are going to be down. It's going to be cooler in the mornings. So it looks like it's going to be a really, really nice weekend to get offshore. Again, gag grouper is closed now. Very short season, unfortunately. We were only able to fish for him twice, so we didn't get a real good chance to fish for him. But, you know, hopefully we have our meeting with Noah here in the very near future, and we can get some answers to some of the questions that we have, and see if they're gonna move on these dates at all or not, or if they're gonna keep it a short season like that. But anyway, like again, I'm out here trying to catch snapper. I'm using a 3/8 ounce huggy. I'm actually using my bigger pole right now because that's what the 3/8 was on. But the tide is slowing up more and more, so I may even drop more weight because that 3/8 is getting to the bottom pretty quick. We're sitting in 41 feet. I just got railed right before I got the cameras out, so I might have to go to a lower weight, which I got a quarter on one of my other jigs, so we'll try that out. People ask me all the time, they're like, well Todd, when you're fishing inside the bay, what weight do you use? 90% of the time we're using 1 ounce, but I try to adjust to what the tide's doing. So the tide is, again, slowed down tremendously compared to what it was when I first got out of here. So I'm dropping weight, and I'll probably drop again because I'm getting to the bottom relatively pretty easy. And like right now, I can tell that the tide is actually coming in underneath. And then when you're fishing in the bay, and we've seen it offshore too, the tide will actually start moving the opposite direction below, and it would still be going the different direction up top. So you gotta kind of watch your bait and see what it's doing. If it has a tendency to start coming towards you, that means that tide has changed underneath. So that's telling me I'm gonna have to go to a lighter weight. There's the target species, folks, on the pinfish. Not a bad size for the bay. Now what I'm fishing is a tiny little ledge right in the middle of the channel. I've never fished this spot before. This is a new one that I marked. The tide is starting to come in below, as I discussed earlier, but it's actually went slack on top, but it's actually coming in pretty good down below. So I'm having to pitch it out actually with a 1 1/4 to get it to where the ledge is. And as soon as I got it to the ledge, that snapper hit. So I'm using about 3-inch pinfish on a 1 1/4 ounce huggy, and I'm just kind of catching up to it. And I could tell by the way he was hitting it that it was a snapper. Like, they're hitting it again. So I can actually feel that I'm coming up that ledge. Or actually, I'm going down it, sorry. Went them down the ledge. But it's a ledge in the middle of the channel. It's not on the edge, it's out in the middle. Let's go ahead and get into the tides and schooners for this weekend and see what we have in store. All right, for Saturday we have a low tide at 10:26 a.m. at a 0.1 foot. Then we have a high tide at 5:15 p.m. at a 1.9 foot. Then we have another low tide at 9:23 p.m. at a 1.6 foot. On Sunday we have a low tide at 11:33 a.m. at a 0.2 foot. Then we have a high tide at 6:41 p.m. at a 1.7 foot. Then we have a low tide at 8:47 p.m. at a 1.7 foot. For the schooners, we have a minor feeding time from 10:41 a.m. to 11:41 a.m. Then we have a major feeding time from 3:36 to 5:36 p.m. On Sunday, we have a minor feeding time from 11:50 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. Then we have a major from 4:34 p.m. to 6:34 p.m. One thing I've noticed, folks, is I've been hooking these pinfish in the back of the tail here. I've been hooking them in the belly, right above the pectoral fins, but I haven't really been getting bit like that. So what I've been doing is hooking it through the bottom of the lip, through the top, and dropping them down that way, and that's the way they're eating them. So again, establishing that pattern of how these fish want to eat. Sometimes they don't want to eat the huggy jig. Sometimes they don't want to eat the stewie jig. So sometimes you got to use a knocker rig or a fish finder rig. Just as long as you try different things when you're out there, especially if you're alone, it's harder. But if you know that there's fish there, you try to establish that pattern. You get that pattern established, and then you can get on the fish and figure out what they're eating and how they're eating it. There's the red group. 10 of those in the bay. That's the tides and schooners for this weekend, and like I said, it looks like it's going to be an absolutely beautiful weekend. Light winds, so if you want to go offshore, you can. I'm telling you right now, the hogfish bite has been really good. The mangrove snapper bite's going to be pretty good. Inside the bay, the mangrove snapper bite has been decent from what I'm hearing. The redfish bite has been unbelievable. So we've got really good tides for that. We're coming off the full moon by a few days, so that will help a little bit. I just want to say thank you to everybody for all of the support. Once again, thank you for watching. We can't say that enough. I've got a video from last weekend that I need to put out. It will show you where we caught a bunch of those hogfish, a bunch of gags, stuff like that. Again, thank you so much for watching. Fish more, catch more, and we'll see you on the flip side.